Since 1962, when Uganda attained her independence, it has had about 7 presidents, and the first of whom, to whom the independence was given, was Sir Edward Mutesa II, whose monument is the one we are at right now. It's not so far away from the other monument which we looked at of Uganda attaining her independence. They are within close proximity. And Mutesa II was the first president of Uganda. At the same time, he was the reigning king, or Kabaka as is called locally, of one of the kingdoms in Uganda. Uganda, before the British colonized it, Uganda was made up of smaller chiefdoms that over time grew into kingdoms, and so it had kingdoms, and these kingdoms each had its king. And Mutesa was the king who was the reigning king in Buganda, the kingdom of Buganda, which is one of the kingdoms in Uganda. And when the British gave Uganda independence, Mutesa II became the first president of Uganda. At the same time, he was the first president of Uganda, and at the same time he was the king of Buganda kingdom. This is his monument right here, erected as well in the capital city, Kampala. And after Mutesa was the president in Uganda from 1962 up to 1966, when his prime minister, then Obote, took over power through a coup. And after Obote being the president of Uganda from 1962 for about 5 years, one again of his army men, Idi Amin Dada, took over power from him as well through a coup, and Amin reigned from that time when he took over power from Obote up to when again he lost the same power to Obote, and many others that came in. Some would be in power for about a few months, others for a few years, up to the current president right now, Museveni Yoweri Kaguta, His Excellency, who is the president of Uganda from 1986 up to present. Uganda has had about 7 presidents ever since it attained independence in 1962. But the one who has been the president for the longest time so far is the current president, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who has been the president since 1986 up to the present. So most of the other presidents came to power through coups, apart from Mutesa, to whom the British gave the independence. The rest of the other presidents would come through coups. Again, after President Museveni came to power in 1986, at least there has been some relative peace in the country, in that after 5 years there's been elections, in that Uganda is currently run as a parliamentary democracy. And next from here I want to take you to the parliament and as well talk about that. But here is one of those key landmarks in Uganda that are commemorating one of the great events of the first president of Uganda, to whom the independence was offered from the British in 1962. Welcome to Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Right here we are in Kampala, the capital of Uganda. Kampala is a relatively small city, but very populated. It has about 4 million people every day who are doing business here in the city. And as a country, Uganda has about 41 million people. Just like it is for people, I think it is the same thing for nations. Uganda has a birth time, a time which is remembered that's when the nation was born, and that is in 1962, October 9th, is when Uganda was born, essentially. What we mean here is that 1962, October 9th, is when Uganda attained her independence from the British. Uganda had been colonized by the British from 1894 and up to 1962 it was under the British Protectorate. In 1962, Uganda, unlike other nations around who fought for their independence, Uganda didn't fight for independence because technically it said it wasn't colonized, but it had been a British protectorate. So the British offered her independence on October 9, 1962. And this monument right here, where I'm standing, was erected on that 9th day of October 1962 in memory of this great event when Uganda was offered her independence from the British. And as you can see, the sculpture up here, it is a sculpture of a man raising up a child, kind of unwrapping this child and raising the child up to the sky, a sign of a new nation that has just been born and has been let free from colonialism and from its bondage. So this is a great day in Uganda. Every October 9th, the country celebrates our independence, and it's usually a public holiday where offices and schools and all public places do not work. People take that time off to go and rest, but also to remember and celebrate the day when the country was born. Welcome to Uganda, the power of Africa. One of the animals that are being reared in Uganda are things like goats. You find a family having maybe 2 or 3 or 4 goats, which they every day they take them for grazing to a place where there is grass or pasture, and then in the evening or afternoon they come and bring it. So what they do, they get a peg and tie it on a peg so it grazes around that peg the whole day, and in the evening it will be picked and be taken in its pen back at the house where they stay. This is one of the animals. Goats is one of the animals people take care of domestically here, still on a subsistence scale. Most of the animals here are taken care of on a subsistence scale instead of commercial farming. Very few people are taking care of animals on a commercial for commercial purposes, as we'll see later. Grazing is not only for goats but also cows, cattle. People raise cattle here as well, again on the subsistence scale for mainly milk. A cow like this one can sustain a family where they can be able to get maybe 5 to 10 liters of milk every day, which is good for them as a family. They can be able to get proteins from that for their children. So you find it's a common thing for a family to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cows, although sometimes there are those who raise them for commercial purposes in bigger numbers. But this is a common thing you find in most households in Uganda. But again, depends on the region. This is the common thing in the central part of the country. There are some parts of the country which are clearly known for raising cattle, where one person can have possibly 100 heads of cattle which they are raising. And for such a family, that's all they'll be doing, raising cattle, getting milk out of it, and some for beef, some for hides, and stuff like that. But these are some of the key animals which are raised in Uganda: cattle, goats, and chickens, hogs, things of that kind. This is some of the art in Uganda, which is made from various things, and we have somebody here to just brief us briefly what she's selling here. Tandika.
How?
Okay, just tell me what those are.
That's one organizer.
Okay, but these horns, the horns. Or you put them on the table. Okay, so you've made the table organizer out of that.
Yeah.
So you can put in like a pen, a pencil.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me see that. Okay, so you can organize your table, but they are made out of, this is an animal horn. Is that a cow? Okay. Craft them out of the animal horns, different things, and here beautiful baskets.
Yeah.
People weave out of banana leaves. A banana or plantain usually has a stem which has some kind of fiber, and it is that kind of fiber from which they make these beautiful baskets, which can be used domestically at home to put in things. Some of these bowls are made out of wood, but also decorated beautifully. Different antiques are made out of wood and with various African beautiful colors and different fabrics. And here's some musical instruments. Now can you pick it up? Play a bit. As far as sports is concerned, in Uganda, soccer is a big thing here. Soccer, but we call it football, given our British influence. So it's a common thing to find. It's very hard for a young man growing up and they don't have stories they can tell you about their enjoyment of football. And it's something you find everywhere, in every neighborhood. Young people playing football, and they make the ball from various kinds of things. Yes, these days one can go to a store and purchase an already made ball, but traditionally young men could go to the banana plantations and they could make their own balls which they could play out of banana fibers. Otherwise, football is a big game here, and everyone has a story about playing football. Okay guys, can you let me know what you're eating?
Eating jackfruit.
Jackfruit. How does it taste?
Sweet.
Okay, you like it?
Yeah.
Good. That's a jackfruit which these guys are enjoying. Does the dog also eat jackfruit?
Yeah.
Really? That's interesting. That's a jackfruit. This is the fruit from which they've cut the pieces people are enjoying. What one does is basically to pull out that which is inside. It usually has a seed inside it, but as you can see, they just throw the seed and they eat the juicy, succulent stuff inside there. It ripens from a tree up. It's a pod that grows up on a tree, and when it ripens, it has a good scent, a beautiful scent it gives, and then it is picked from the tree and then it's enjoyed. As you can see, guys are enjoying it right here. This is a traditional marriage, a traditional wedding. You can see this is how the men dress up. What looks like a dress for you is actually called a kanzu or a tunic. So on that they put a jacket, and the ladies put on what they call a busuti. That's what they put on. So they're going for a marriage ceremony. And it's usually very big function here. For the girl, this is when she's going to be given to the man. It's usually a wonderful celebration with a lot of joy. Gifts are going to be exchanged as well. There will be a lot of eating. There will be a lot of festivities, including dancing, music, traditional music. It's usually such a joy. So they're going to go in lines or queues. Ladies will be in their own line, and then the gentlemen will be in their own line as they enter the family. They enter the home of the family where they're going to get the lady or the wife. Here is a traditional wedding in Uganda. This is a function where the groom has come to pick his wife, and the two lines you see, one line is for the ladies, one line is for the men, and this is how they dress up. The dress you see the ladies are putting on, it's called a busuti or gomesi, and what the men are putting on, this is called a kanzu locally, but it's a form of a tunic, and on that they put on a jacket, and that's how they are going to be given a wife. It's usually a very big function, highly celebrated. There will be music, there will be dancing, there's going to be a lot of eating, all kinds of festivities are going to be there. The gentleman here in the front, what he's carrying traditionally is what carries beer or alcohol. So he's supposed to be the first person to enter, and that's a special gift which is supposed to be received or to be given in the family where they're going. Without this kind of beer, they may not be given the wife. So he has to enter kind of to open the gate, and these are some of the gifts that are being carried inside. That's how it's already prepared and organized. It's going to be a colorful function right here. The ladies are putting on the busuti, and the gents are putting on the tunic, the kanzu, and different gifts are being carried. And as you can see, gifts are being carried. There they go, entering the home of the father who is going to give, one of these men is going to get themselves a wife today. Very solemn function here, highly celebrated in Uganda. These two here are, one of them is the groom with his best man. They are getting ready to prepare with their entourage, so we can go in at the girl's family where they are going to get the wife. They are getting ready. This is part of their entourage, getting ready right here, trying to mobilize themselves to agree on how they are going to move together. They've hired a few cars and truck you see out there. That's where their gifts, which gifts they are going to be giving out. Here is food. The food that is going to be served in the function is prepared in On a function like this, I told you earlier, there is usually a lot of feasting, a lot of eating. So I want to show you some of the food that is going to be served here, which people are going to eat. That's the food. So the foods here, what you see here in the beginning, the yellow mash, that's matoke. It's a form of plantain. And then next is rice, brown rice, and there's white rice, and then the other grayish, that's grayish or purple, that's yams, and then there is Irish potatoes, groundnuts, some greens, and many other. There are all kinds of foods served here in such a function.
So here's the plate, full rice, white rice, brown rice, greens, salad, piece of chicken, beef, potatoes, and Irish potatoes. And that which is wrapped in banana leaves, it's called wombo. It's usually chicken or any other meat that can be steamed inside there. As you can see, it's unwrapped, and usually what's inside is really tasty because they steam it that way and it retains all the flavor is retained inside. There you go.
You said you know. nnyo mwebalire ddala abaana ba
In a marriage function like this, there's usually exchange of gifts. So this is the time when they are going to be opening the gifts or sharing the gifts, especially to the bride's side.
People have a card. You can see a thing.
All these are gifts that are going to be given to the side of the bride. Gifts will be given to the mother, the father, the brothers, the sisters, the aunties, the uncles, and almost everybody must get something. That's why there are usually so many, and whoever came on the side of the groom, whoever is part of the groom's entourage, is supposed to carry the gift of a sort. Among the gifts usually clothes, meat. This truck here has some of the gifts. What you see these gentlemen carrying, these two gentlemen, that must be meat, beef, it could be a leg, a full leg, which is going to be given. There are sodas here, and those baskets have clothes. All kinds of gifts are exchanged on a function like this. That's chicken. Chickens are a big part of such a function. They have to be live chickens. And here the gifts are being taken. The ladies are carrying the baskets. The men are carrying heavier stuff such as those are bars of soap,